He's ugly. You can do better. That's the conversation we're going to have here today on Relationship Thursday. How you guys doing? This is Ron Supply Myers, author, podcaster, and your uplifting life partner. Now, this particular topic was one I was having a conversation with a young lady just recently, and she brought that up about having a conversation with her friend and telling her friend, she's like, the guy that she was with, he was just ugly. And I was helping her to understand that she could do so much better. And I'm looking at her when she said that, and I'm just like, wow, the nerve of you to say something like that. And actually, as if you're bragging about the fact that you were tearing down another individual. She thought it was only about her friend as far as looks, external, as you guys hear me talk about all the time. I do understand that on first impressions, we're all looking at physical. And I know some people want to argue that and go, no, that's too shallow. I don't do that kind of stuff. We all do it because that's all you can judge a person by when you first meet them is physical, the outward appearance. So that would be unrealistic to tell you not to look at people that way, because as human beings, we're visual creatures. We see things. We're attracted to certain things. We have our preferences, that type of stuff. So it's going to happen. The challenge that I have, though, is when you get to know a person and they check all of your boxes off, and the only thing that's holding them back is that outward appearance. That's when you have to have a gut check. And this is kind of what the young lady was telling her friend. I remember when I was a younger guy, this was way before I even got married. And those that know my story know I was with my wife for 32 years. So that was a long time ago, this story that I'm sharing. But I remember I was dating this young lady. And her and I laughed, we had fun, we did so many things together, and we just enjoyed each other. And I brought someone around. I brought her to meet someone who who plays a major role in my life. And they smiled with the person, and we enjoyed the time we had together. But when the person wasn't around, they asked me. They said, "Ronnie, why you with her, man? I know you could do better than that. You deserve better than that." And folks, I'm ashamed to say, I broke up with her. I don't even remember how I broke up, but I know I distanced myself. Because again, like I've told you guys, I can't remember how I broke up with any of the young ladies that I did. Because it's not like I ever dishonor, disrespect, cuss out, do any of that kind of stuff. That's not my demeanor, never has been, never will be. But bottom line is I remember moving that relationship away from each other. And I look back now, and every time I think about her, I go, that's a shame that you did that. That you didn't let that relationship play out and get the gifts from that relationship because of the visual perspective view of someone else. Shame on you, Ron. I'm saying that in a funny way there, but that is shameful. And the reality and why I'm having this conversation is because this was brought up to me recently. And it's unfortunate that as I keep sharing, quit allowing those on the outside to make your relationship decisions. I went through this. I told you guys the strongest one I went through was with my wife. And this had nothing to do with, well, it does have to do with physical appearance. I was going to say it had nothing to do with physical appearance, but it does, because it had to do with race. It had to do with skin tone. People tried to keep me away from who eventually became my wife, Terry. And it was all based on race. But we didn't allow race to be a determining factor in our relationship, and therefore we determined we were going to stay together no matter what the world had to say, what the world thought. And that's what actually brought us closer together, to where the other challenges that we had, we overcame them because they looked small, because the biggest challenge we had to deal with was people talking about the race issue. And that one, and the reason I said it does deal with outward appearance, because it does, it's skin color. But the conversation we're having here was about being ugly. And to me, it's still kind of the same thing. It's a letting the outward appearance be the deciding factor and letting others make that decision for you. Only you should be making the decision, and it should be based on what works for you. You also have to look back at the people who are even making the comment. I remember, again, being younger, that I would look at my friends or some of the ladies they dated, and I would never, because I've never been that person that's going to tear down your person or who you're with and be like, oh man, she ugly, you bruh. I'm just not that person, because I believe everyone has the right to their own choice. But I know I have thought that to myself, to where I'm looking like, man, he do better than that. And then I had to step back and go, well, the reason you're saying that is because he's your friend. But it's not like, and again, folks, this is preference, as you all hear me say all the time. I'm just saying, but from what I would say is a good looking guy, you look back and go, well, your friend is not really a good looking guy in terms of, I'm saying, the lady attraction, the magnet. You guys know what I'm talking about. The pretty boy, as they call him. But you're assuming that your friend should be able to attract that type of person. And it's like, when you go from the physical, and again, this conversation is the physical. When you're going from the physical, your partner, your friend, doesn't fit the qualifications to attract that person. Now, if you understand the things that I share, they can still overcome that because they have all the other things. And again, they may be that attractive to the person that we call beautiful from the external, but we think they wouldn't match. But the person that we consider to be good looking thinks your partner is good looking. You guys follow me? Because this all comes down to preference, what you like, what you're attracted to. But my point in this conversation is, do not allow other people's views and perspectives to determine who you take as your partner, because you can miss out on the perfect match for you. And the only reason you didn't take them is because on your scale of 1 to 10, physical, and you guys know I'm talking about physical, where, you know, I teach a whole different conversation on attraction and that kind of stuff, and relationships and making relationships work. But anyway, I'm just saying, from the physical perspective, if they check off all the boxes and the physical is not your 10 and you miss out, you may one day live to regret that decision. So anyway, but the bottom line again of this whole conversation, and I was sharing that with the young lady, is I said, but how was their relationship aside from his physical appearance? And she's like, well, he's a good guy from what I saw. He's real good. So you would tell your friend not to be in a relationship with a guy who fits all those qualifications, because you look on the external and think that should be how she makes the decision. And her mouth kind of dropped like, whoa, that's my point. I see it all the time. And I know you guys see it too, where you look at from the physical, you see people together and you just go, how did he or how did she attract that person? And you go, they must have money. You guys follow? That's how shallow a lot of our thought processes is. We think it's gotta be money because there's no way. And then you find out it's not a money thing. It's just, I've shared this story before. I had a friend, same thing, had this description of exactly how her husband was gonna look. And he was going to be like 6'4", basketball player, good-looking guy, financially well off. You know, all the, you know, the things the world is teaching us to look for. And the man she ended up with was probably 5'5". I might be exaggerating. She was like 5'9", 5'10". So she's taller than him. He was a little on the heavy side. All the things, exact opposites of what she said she was looking for. The only thing that he fit, qualifying, that she said she was looking for, was he was a man of God. That was it. And I always think about her because I applaud her. I applaud that she was able to see past what the world tries to convince us we should actually be looking for. And she actually went at who qualified for what she was looking for and didn't let the external physical be a deciding factor. And during that process, I used to tease her, and I don't know if I influenced her or helped her at all through that process. But I used to tease her. I made sure I never judged. Because, like I said, I got past that younger thinking. And I used to tease her all the time, and I say, "How's your husband?" But I never talked about his height, never talked about his size, never talked about anything. I just knew, aside from the physical, they clicked. And she would always talk about how they were on the phones and they talked to 2 in the morning and all those different things. And I just knew this, like, wow, this sounds like an awesome guy. And as I got to know him, he was. And I was just like, that's cool. So I used to tease her and be every time I talked to her, I'm like, how your husband doing? And she'd be like, hey, my husband, you know how my husband gonna look, da 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 da. And that eventually became her husband. And again, I don't know if I weighed anything in helping in that process. I would assume I helped in the sense that I didn't distract from it. I didn't say, he ain't 6'4". He ain't the kind of guy you were talking about. He's not. I know you can do better. See, I didn't have those conversations with her. That wouldn't have been my place. And then I would have been throwing my preferences at her. Folks, and that's really the whole idea of this conversation. Quit judging external stuff. Get to know people as individuals. And again, like I said, I do understand the first appearance, you're going to see that. But as you get to know people, give people the opportunity, and you never know. The person you're looking for might be on the external, if you're using that to be a judgment, may be a 7 or 8 on your physical appearance, but a 10 in everything else. Don't lose out on that because your friend tells you he's ugly, she's ugly. You can do better than that. Folks, I look back and that's one of those decisions I wish I hadn't have made, because every other area, her and I got along very, very well. And I let someone else make that decision for me, push her away. And who knows where that would have led. But I do believe, again, things happen for a reason. Not saying that the physical was a good reason, but I do believe every decision we make in life gets us to where we are today. And I love the path that I took, because the lady that was my wife, for those of you that don't know my story, I was with her for 32 years. I lost her to cancer, but I believe there was no better woman ever for me. And ladies, don't get worried. I'm not saying, because some people, you see your video, start thinking, ooh, he can't move forward. That's not the case. The next young lady will never be compared, because it's not fair to her. It's not fair to my wife, not fair to me. Every individual is separately, and that's really what I'm talking about here. Give people the opportunity to show their value, their worth, and judge them accordingly. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. As you know, it ain't right, it ain't wrong. It is my opinion. Now, I look forward to seeing you guys on my app, because it is live. It's in the App Store, the Apple Store, the Google Play Store. It's under Simplified You. The letter U. Simplified, the letter U. And they are separated. I know when I typed it in to the browser in the App Store, it had it separated, simplified, and then the U, the letter U, separated. But anyway, run it over there. That's how you'll be able to keep tabs on everything I'm doing. It's going to be a great way to communicate with me. I also have my some different social medias I just set up, like a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I forgot what the other one. Anyway, 4 of the top ones I just set up. And folks, join those. It's going to be a great way to communicate, talk with me. Don't be nervous if you go over there and there's not a bunch of activity over there right now. This is a community I just started because the app just came out. But I'm creating it just for that reason, where it'd be a great place for us to communicate away from all my other social medias. So again, as you guys know, if you're not having fun, you should be doing something else. Check out the app, and make sure when you're making your decisions for your partner, don't let your friends be the judging factor, because he or she is ugly and you can do better. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.